you very much. And thanks very much to Zero COVID for organising this conference and for inviting me to be here today. I think the work you're doing is really important. I want to say that anybody watching this call on Facebook or on Zoom should join the Zero COVID campaign, and also that you should join a trades union. Union workplaces are safer. But I want to talk about education. On Sunday, the 3rd of January, the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, told parents on the MAR programme on Sunday morning that schools are safe and they should return their children to school the next day. On Monday, the 4th of January at 8 p.m, he told us all that schools are vectors of transmission and had to be closed apart from key worker and vulnerable children. So imagine the position for parents across the country. It's mainly England that he was talking about, but across the country, everyone will have been picking this message up, that he tells parents that schools are safe on Sunday night. They're agonizing about whether to send their child back to school. And on Monday night, he changes it all with no notice. Now, that is not a victory that schools are closed, because the closure of schools has terrible impacts. It has terrible impacts on children's mental, emotional, social, educational development. There are children, they're cut off from friends. They're at home now trying to learn, often without broadband, without laptops, or sharing a laptop with their brothers and sisters, without any place to learn at home, with their parents having to stay at home and some of them not being able to get furlough. So it's not a victory, but it was the right thing to do. We're now at this place where we've got 1,500 deaths a day. And if we hadn't closed the schools, then those deaths would be going up all the faster, because the epidemiologists are now telling us that opening schools can lift the R rate by 0.4, well, to taking it much higher. And that's a really serious place for us to be. It's not a victory, but it was the right thing to do because the epidemiology said it. But I want to tell you, this session is about campaigning. I think a material factor in changing Boris Johnson's judgment about this between Sunday and Monday, it wasn't really the data, it was the campaigning. I want to congratulate every member of my union, the National Education Union, who submitted a Section 44 letter on that Sunday night, and members of Unison as well. On Sunday, the 3rd of January, and I'm speaking to this because it shows there is a mass audience for the ideas of the Zero COVID campaign. On Sunday, the 3rd of January, we had a Zoom meeting for our members that was massively oversubscribed. So we had an overflow on Facebook. And we know from Facebook demographics and a variety of other sources that at least 40,000 of our members were on that call, which is the biggest trades union meeting ever. But we also know that in total, 100,000 people stayed for that call for the whole hour. And there were 400,000 people on that call for at least some of that hour. That is a mass audience. Thousands of our members submitted Section 44 letters saying that they believed that it was unsafe on the basis that we were telling them that SAGE had said that it was unsafe and you couldn't get the R below 1 with schools open. And I think that was a material factor for Boris Johnson in making his decision. If he hadn't closed the schools, then there would have been lots of schools that were only open to key worker and vulnerable children because of the actions of members of the union, and that would have taken the question of safety out of the hands of the government. And I think that was a material factor why he decided to do what he did on Monday. But it should never have come to that, in the very narrow sense that we now know that SAGE told the government on December the 22nd that they could not get the R rate below 1 if schools were open. So they should have listened to that, and they should have told us on December the 23rd that schools wouldn't be open, instead of putting everyone through all of the aggravation that has come about since then. They could have given people a lot more notice. It shouldn't have come to it in that sense, but it also shouldn't have come to it in that longer sense, that other countries have done this much better than ours. New Zealand, South Korea, Vietnam, They don't have the deaths that we have. They haven't had the lockdowns that we've had. They had short and sharp lockdowns. They got cases down and they kept it down with test, track and trace. Our government has gone about this terribly. Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand said you have to go hard and fast against this virus. She's absolutely right. That's what you do when you've got an exponentially growing epidemic. She said go hard and fast, but our government has gone soft and slow. They've used the minimum measures. They've gone slow all the time, and that has had the terrible consequences. And this is so frustrating because in the summer, the lockdown then, my union involved in trying to make sure that schools were safe and other unions doing everything they could. We got cases right down by the sacrifice of the people of this country. Cases were much lower. They were halving every fortnight. If we'd stayed in lockdown another fortnight or another month, cases would have been really low. If they hadn't privatized test, track, trace, if they'd had that running, then we could have kept them low. So there was a way out of it, and our government messed it up. And I think we've got to win the public to this argument. You have to put public health first if you want to sort the economy out. You have to put public health first if you want to do the right thing by education. Rishi Sunak got it completely wrong when he went to eat out to help out. He thought he was boosting those restaurants, but what he did was boost the virus, and then he had to close the restaurants only a few weeks later, damaging them enormously. Gavin Williamson wants to boost attendance at schools by using lateral flow tests as an alternative to isolation. That will mean that children stay in school, but will miss very many more cases. The virus levels will go up again, and that will mean more loss of education, not less. So we've got to win the situation that we know that we have to put public health first. We know what to do about that. My union put forward demands on June the 10th to reduce class sizes, to employ extra teachers, the teachers who've left the profession, the supply teachers, recently retired teachers who can help us get class sizes down once the virus levels have fallen. Once we've got test, track and trace running, then have smaller classes where there is less transmission. Right now, we have to campaign for safety in the schools still. Some schools are saying that all staff have to be in, teaching remotely from empty classrooms. That's crazy, and we are challenging that wherever we can. The government is saying that early years settings should be fully open. There is no scientific basis for that. Callum Semple of SAGE says it's a political decision. That is lifting cases that bit more. Cases would fall faster if we said that nurseries were key worker and vulnerable children only. So we're campaigning for that. We have to campaign for people, and this has been said so many times, the effects of the school closures. We need furlough for parents who can't go to work. The children who are at home, we need those laptops delivered. We need broadband delivered. We should press Amazon to deliver books. They've made so much money out of selling us books. They don't pay any taxes. They should be delivering books to children who are at home. We need those demands now, and we need demands that are around safety. If when they get cases down low enough and we can have test, track, trace running, we need proper mass testing, not the lateral flow test that isn't working. We need class sizes down. We need rota operation in schools. We know that works to get the R rate down. We have these answers, and we have to campaign together for them. Join the Zero COVID Alliance, join a union, and support the work that my union's doing. We've got all these demands on our website. We're demanding all of these things. We are going with these big mass meetings still. We had a meeting this week of 2,000 early years workers, another meeting of around 2,000 special school workers. Help us build these meetings and build parental support for the unions around these sorts of questions. There is so much to do. There is so much we can fight for. Thank you to the Zero COVID Alliance for putting this conference on today. Thank you very much.